few hours, residents in East Palestine, Ohio will gather for a moment of silence to mark 6 months since the toxic train derailment in the community. During a controlled burn, the Norfolk Southern train released vinyl chloride into the air. That's a chemical known to cause cancer. After months of desperate calls for help, the community is still struggling to recover. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visited the derailment sites. Speaking with experts, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has called on President Biden to declare a major disaster for the state. And residents say they need that declaration now. Meanwhile, Congress remains deadlocked on new rules for rail safety. And just a few days ago, East Palestine residents traveled to our nation's capital demanding that the government ban vinyl chloride. Joining me now is Unity Council board member Zusha Janis, who will be at the anniversary event tonight, and Mom's Clean Air Force member Misty Allison, who still lives in East Palestine, Ohio. Zusha, I want to start with you. Can you tell us about your story? I know you no longer live in East Palestine due to the derailment, but you feel it's necessary to still advocate for change.
Absolutely. I was forced out of my home. I didn't want to leave. I would love to go back to February 2nd and have my life back. But my son got sick and I got sick. And there's a lot of unanswered questions about our future that I need to pursue to be able to sleep at night. So I feel like I need to keep doing this because it could happen anywhere else I move to as well.
Zusha, well, may I ask you how the health is for you and your family?
We've been okay. We have some genetic issues and autoimmune issues. So those have been at bay since we left the area. Anytime I've tried to go back, though, I do get sick again. But my son's been getting a rash since the derailment that comes and goes. It's currently unexplained, but for the most part, we're doing okay outside of the area.
And Missy, you wrote in The Hill, you actually wrote a piece, and I want to pull up some of that. One night, as my 7-year-old son climbed into bed, he turned to me and asked, "Mommy, am I going to die?" Then began to sob. Even after all we had been through, this was a new wound. It cut straight through me. I was assured my son that no, he was not going to die from living in his own home. People are here to protect us, I said. Meanwhile, my mind raced. Did I tell my son a lie? Are we safe in East Palestine? Talk to us about your experience.
Thank you for having me on today. Yes, that is something that I did write recently, something that I've never done before, but when the opportunity presented itself, I thought it was so important to say yes and to continue this conversation because 6 months into this whole ordeal, there are still a lot of unmet needs. And do I know if it is safe to stay in East Palestine? Honestly, 6 months in, I still don't know. We are in East Palestine. We love East Palestine and we do want to stay here, but only if it is safe. I never thought in a million years that I would be in the midst of a chemical calamity, but here we are, and it's just something that just feels like it's out of an apocalyptic movie that we're still continuing to live through this day.
Or, Misty, be forced into the position of advocacy. I have to believe you had other things going on in your life where you're like, I didn't need this taking up my time.
That is very true. I have 2 kids, a dog, a husband. I have a full-time job, so much that was already on my plate as well. And so this definitely wasn't in my 2023 personal or professional development plan. But just like Zusha as well, it's something that I think, especially for moms, this is really like a mom partisan issue. So moms will stop at nothing to ensure that their children are going to be safe. And so I would say that's probably the biggest reason why I've taken such a stand. A lot of these opportunities have presented themselves to me. And so I have just continued to say yes and to really advocate for myself and my family and for all of the people that are still suffering to this day.
And Zusha, how does that tie into the Unity train in today's event? I know residents were asked to write on rocks and line them up in a train, but what are you hoping to achieve by this?
Yeah, we wanted something low-key, fun, meaningful, just a way to represent solidarity amongst all the impacted communities. We have a lot of unanswered questions. We're still here. We're still fighting. Like, we still want what's best for our families. And this is an opportunity to show that in a visual way and bring people together for that moment of silence and reflection.
And Zusha, tell me what Norfolk Southern is doing to provide help half a year later.
Not a whole lot. I mean, personally, they're covering my reimbursement for my hotel, which is nearly $4,000 a month. But they can stop at any day. I still am fully responsible for replacing all of our belongings and finding somewhere new that's comparable. They're not offering any real medical monitoring at this time.
And Misty, let me ask you before I let you all go, what are you hoping your elected officials do to help the community? What would provide some relief? What would be a success?
I think that there's a lot of things that can still be addressed 6 months in. So there has been a lot of progress in the past 6 months, but there's still so much more to do. Something that I would really like is for a response to be given on the emergency declaration that Governor DeWine requested a little over 1 month ago. That does seem like a very long time when you're waiting in limbo. So I would like that to be addressed sooner rather than later. And then I would say, too, there's still a lot more that can be done from a local response, from a state response, and from a federal response. So at least from my perspective, there is still a lot of room for improvement. I'm grateful for what has been done currently, but I would like for some long-term healthcare monitoring to be done, a community health needs assessment to be conducted in the surrounding areas. We still need some baseline data 6 months into this, and we still need a lot of the town to come together to unify, to be able to be made whole and to move forward accordingly.
Misty Allison and Zusha Jenis, thank you both for joining us this morning. And I can tell you that we will continue here at NewsNation to follow the story and the recovery process in East Palestine, Ohio. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
The state of Texas is leaving it up to the state Supreme Court to decide if it's okay for a doctor to perform an abortion in an emergency. Right now, Texas lawmakers makes abortion illegal unless the woman is very close to death. Our Stephanie Haynes has the latest now from Dallas.
Hey, Nick. Well, to be clear, this ruling does not seek to overturn the abortion law in Texas as it is. Instead, it's seeking to clarify it when exactly doctors can perform an abortion lawfully when there is an emergent condition among the patient, when their life or health is at risk. So some people say under the Texas law as it is right now, that wording is too vague. Others say it's perfectly clear. And now they are asking for the state's highest court to decide. The debate over abortion access continues to play out in Texas. The Center for Reproductive Rights is suing the state on behalf of 2 doctors and at least 13 patients. Amanda Zarowski is one of them.
I was dilating prematurely, and that condition leads to an inevitable miscarriage, but rather than being able to intervene, my doctors could not provide an abortion because the baby's heart was still beating and my life wasn't considered at risk. We just had to wait for one of those things to change before they could provide health care. I went into septic shock.
She is one of several women who testified at a hearing a few weeks ago, saying the ban put their lives at risk. Under Texas law, an abortion can only be performed when a life-threatening physical condition places the patient at risk of death or serious risk of substantial impairment. A doctor from Massachusetts testified a few weeks ago as an expert witness, saying that the law, in his mind, is not clear.
The laws as they're currently written, the medical exceptions, they're confusing.
The judge clarified in her ruling that a physical emergent medical condition under the Texas abortion law should include a pregnancy with risk of infection or is otherwise unsafe for the patient's health, a physical condition that is exacerbated by pregnancy and cannot be treated during that time or requires recurrent invasive intervention, or a condition where the fetus is unlikely to survive. Several hours later, the Office of the Attorney General blocked the ruling from the district judge. In a statement writing in part, quote, "Protecting the health of mothers and babies is of paramount importance to the people of Texas, a moral principle enshrined in the law which states that an abortion may be performed under limited circumstances. Texas pro-life laws are in full effect. This judge's ruling is not." Some groups agreeing that the law is in fact clear for doctors.
They can intervene immediately when that pregnancy provides a threat or poses a threat to the mother's life, and there's no reason to wait. So I do want to say to those women, my heart goes out to them. I want the best outcome for them. I think of them often, and I can't imagine the pain and the heartache that they've gone through. But the law is clear.
She says her organization has studied federal data, and it shows that no doctor in Texas has been prosecuted for performing an abortion that is following the law in Texas as it is now. If a doctor or provider is found in violation of that law, they could face up to life in prison and a $100,000 fine, Nick.
Our Stephanie Haynes reporting. Stephanie, thank you. As of July, there's been more than 1,000 cases of unruly passengers on U.S. flights in 2023. Now, the recent uptick in air rage assaults is forcing the Federal Aviation Administration to take action by implementing a zero-tolerance policy towards its aggressive passengers. Ardre Clark has more.
A flight attendant punched in the back of the head. A passenger on a United Airlines flight trying to open the emergency exit door mid-flight. And then there was this woman.
That motherfucker back there is not real.
Demanding to get off the plane and away from an imaginary person only she could see sitting in the back. Air rage meltdowns have led to arrests, substantial fines, and even jail time in extreme cases of violence. The International Air Transport Association is asking for tougher prosecution. Intoxicated passengers and travelers angry about delays in jam-packed flights are the usual triggers for air rage.
And just to remind people also that it's actually an offence in many jurisdictions to be intoxicated on board an aircraft, because you're a safety risk.
As of July, the FAA says there have been more than 1,100 reports of unruly passengers on U.S. flights. The agency says the rate of unruly passengers has dropped by more than 80% since record highs in early 2021. A look over the last 3 years shows a definite decline. But each time a high-flying attack goes viral, the question is asked, where are the air marshals? The TSA says there's no shortage of marshals on domestic and international flights. But last November here at NewsNation, we reported many air marshals have been redeployed to the southern border in Texas to help provide with humanitarian outreach. Meanwhile, the Association of Flight Attendants says crew members should be given mandatory self-defense training, while some airlines have asked passengers to step in to subdue unruly passengers until the pilot can land.
Thanks to Drake Clark for that report. A woman from Oregon who went missing on a hike while in Phoenix has been found dead. Firefighters say it appears to be heat-related. 34-year-old Jessica Lindstrom went hiking Friday morning. Now, Phoenix police declared her missing about 9 hours later. First responders discovered her body on a remote trail in the north part of the city. A fire department captain said that Lindstrom was likely not used to the heat and was overcome by it. It will be up to the medical examiner to determine the exact cause of death. Maricopa County, Arizona, which includes Phoenix, reported 39 heat-related deaths as of July 29th, with more than 300 still under investigation. The National Weather Service said that July was the hottest month on record in Phoenix, with an average temperature of about 102 degrees Fahrenheit. A woman's desperate search for her daughter has ultimately led to the arrest of Rex Heuermann, the suspect in the Gilgo Beach murders on Long Island. Shanann Gilbert disappeared on May 1st of 2010. She was a sex worker and traveled with her driver from Manhattan to meet a man at his home on Long Island. Now, police say she appeared irrational at one point, and the man contacted the driver. She ran away and approached two homeowners in the area before she vanished. The Suffolk County Police found that her death was likely a tragic accident based in part on her 911 call from the client's home. Here's some of that call.
State Police.
Yeah, there's somebody after me.
I'm sorry?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Okay, where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you, ma'am?
I don't know.
What's your name?
Shanann Gilbert.
What's your name?
Shanann Gilbert.
Where are you?
I'm by I'm in Long Island.
And what's wrong?
Huh?
What happened?
These people are plotting to kill me.
The driver and the client were cleared in her death. Now, Shannon's mother, Mary, died in 2016, but it was her persistence that led to the bodies of 4 women on Gilgo Beach, and now at least 1 arrest. Earlier, I spoke with John Ray, attorney for the families of Shannon Gilbert and Jessica Taylor. I asked him how Mary Gilbert felt knowing that her daughter's disappearance led to the discovery of the Gilgo 4.
Well, Mary felt that her daughter was, you might say, an unintended hero for this. She was, heartbroken about what happened to Shannon, and being a mother, just what could be worse? So she was extremely sad at all times, but still, the redeeming quality that came with Shannon was that she was able to cause these other people to be uncovered, and ultimately now the prosecution of T-Rex.
John, we can't ignore how chilling that 911 call sounded. Do we know what Shannon was experiencing in those moments there and what happened?
We have a better idea now with the evidence I've been able to develop on the case since I've been working on it since 2011. And with the evidence we have, it's overwhelmingly clear that Shannon was about to be killed by some people, and she fled. The screaming is when she was accosted by some or at least one of them. She escaped and began to knock on doors until she eventually is no longer heard from, and she's found in the marsh a year and a half later.
John, how do you think Mary would feel right now knowing that police finally have a suspect in custody after all these years, when we know that many families really want some type of closure?
Yeah, Mary Gilbert had become a devoted mother and certainly redeemed herself. So Mary rests in peace, and I don't think her soul is in peace at all, and it won't be until we nail the killers of Shannon Gilbert.
So, John, you have not given up on that aspect of it at all. What do you think actually happened to Shannon?
Shannon was murdered. The evidence is not just clear, it's overwhelming. We have the most famous medical examiner in the world, Michael Baden, who just declared on TV just 3 weeks ago that she was murdered. Michael did the autopsy with me. When we got Shannon's bones, we saw that her hyoid bone was fractured. That happens when you're strangled. And he said it was a homicide. The police, in coming to the conclusion that it might have been or is probably an unfortunate accident, are asserting an absurd conclusion when you consider that they have not a scintilla of evidence that she died of an accident, and they have overwhelming evidence that she did not.
And John, before I let you go, follow up on that. How do the families feel about the way police have handled this investigation?
Well, it depends on the family you talk to. There's certainly a division of opinion there, but we're all happy that the police, with current Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison and District Attorney Ray Tierney, formed a new task force, and they're going back into this case with some fervor. So finally, we're getting where we want to go. I think all the families probably agree upon that.
The Coast Guard just released this video of a man being rescued 12 miles offshore of St. Augustine, Florida. He went missing on Friday in his 12-foot boat. When he didn't come back to the boat ramp, his family called for help. The next morning, an air crew spotted him sitting in his boat, which was partially submerged in the water. He will be fine and is expected to recover from a few stingray bites and sunburn. Nearly a month after being ambushed by a gunman, one of the Fargo, North Dakota officers hurt in a deadly shooting received applause while leaving the hospital. That's Officer Andrew Dottis, cheered on by medical staff, military personnel, colleagues, and more as he walked out with his family by his side. One officer died, 2 others were wounded when a gunman started shooting at them as they were responding to a traffic crash last month. A bystander was also hurt before a 4th officer shot and killed the suspect. Police say the suspect had numerous guns, a homemade grenade, and more than 1,800 rounds of ammunition in his car. As of today, the second officer is still recovering in the hospital. Well, Florida's education system is making headlines again, this time over a controversial college admission test. We'll explain after the break. Plus, a cyber attack is causing some emergency rooms to close their doors across the country. And still to come, thousands of people are descending on a small South Dakota town this week. Later, why the Sturgis motorcycle rally has become a pilgrimage for motorcycle lovers. You're watching NewsNation Live with Marni Hughes on NewsNation, news for all America.
Subway's now slicing their meats fresh. That's why soccer pros like me prefer the Grand Slam ham.
And this rookie prefers fresh sliced turkey.
Perfect when you're subbed out of a game.
And if we prefer it, we know you'll prefer it too.
Nothing better than a sub.
My most important kitchen tool? My brain. So I choose Nariva Plus. Unlike some others, Nariva Plus is a multitasker supporting 6 key indicators of brain health to help keep me sharp. Nariva, think bigger.
When a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name, it's a race against time to stop the theft of your hard-earned equity.
Many people don't know this has happened until long after it's done.
You as the homeowner think you still own a house. 3 months later, you start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
So when's the last time you checked on the title to your home? Find out if you're already a victim at HomeTitleLock.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mears for Omega XL, the natural joint health supplement sourced from the green-lipped mussels of the pristine waters of New Zealand. Omega XL can help you with pain caused by inflammation. There's a reason that millions of people have been taking Omega XL. It's because Omega XL delivers results you can feel.
With a unique combination of over 30 fatty acids found only in the oil extract of the green-lipped mussel, Omega XL has been providing relief to inflammation pain for nearly 20 years. If you have pain in your back, neck, knees, or elbows, try Omega XL and get a second chance at life.
Before Omega XL, I was in a lot of pain. I felt like this is a miracle for me and my life. I love to run and play with my grandkids, and now I can do that again, all because of Omega XL.
You don't have to put up with pain. Think about what you would be doing playing with your grandchildren, meeting with friends, or even just feeling comfortable enough to get through your day.
Since I've started Omega XL, I didn't think it was possible to take one supplement and have that great response. Thank you, Omega XL. I'm very happy to be able to continue doing what I do.
You can get back to living the life you want, and inflammation is manageable, it's controllable, and it's fixable.
Go to OmegaXL.com or call the number at the bottom of your screen right now for our new offer. Buy 1 bottle of Omega XL, get 1 free. That's 2 bottles for only $39.95. Plus, you'll also receive a bottle of Vitamin XL D3 absolutely free. That's 2 bottles of Omega XL plus Vitamin XL D3, a value of more than $107. But when you call today, you pay only $39.95 on your first order.
Try Omega XL and see the difference it can make in your life.
Call now.
Welcome back. The state of Florida continues to try to push back on education norms. It could soon be the first state to adopt the Classic Learning Test, or CLT. For college admissions, this would be a change, along with the SAT or ACT. The Florida Board of Governors is expected to vote on whether the state should adopt it. Our Xavier Walton joins us live now from Miami. And Xavier, this exam has grown in popularity among Christian schools and conservative political groups. What more can you tell us about it and how it may differ from the SAT or ACT?
Well, Nick, right off the bat, there are right now about 200 colleges and universities that already accept the CLT. George Fox, Biola, we got Liberty, New Mexico universities. All those universities accept the CLT. Now, statewide, though, Florida would be the first. Let's go to the website, though. The CLT exam, at least per the website, says that it is unlike other tests that change according to educational or cultural trends. It says CLT exams emphasize foundational critical thinking skills and are accessible to students from a variety of educational backgrounds. All right, notable differences. The CLT takes about 2 hours to complete versus nearly 3 hours for the ACT and SAT. CLT, the testing score is out of 120 rather than 1,600 for the SAT or 36, for the ACT. And unlike the other two standardized college admission tests, CLT does not focus on the Common Core standards, instead mainly focusing on European and American heritage.
I will always push for parents to do your research and don't assume because you're tied to one political party or another that one exam is better than the other. Unfortunately, what's happening though with the CLT and it being more of a conservative supportive exam is that they are looking to partner with curriculum.
So critics of CLT believe this is another attempt by Florida Republicans to reshape Florida's education based on more conservative teachings. Now, the founder of CLT says what's happening in the Sunshine State is part of a broader movement in education circles he's in, frustrated, with progressive influence. Governor Ron DeSantis already signed a bill allowing students to use the CLT scores to determine if they'd be eligible for a statewide scholarship program. Now, NewsNation did reach out to Governor Ron DeSantis' office for a comment on this specifically. Still haven't heard back. But Nick, that vote, you mentioned it right off the top when you were sending it out to us here in Miami, Florida. That vote is at the end of the month, and that's when we'll know what will happen moving forward. Either way, Florida college-bound students are going to have to make a decision moving forward.
And my guess is students will want to take the one that makes them most competitive and is accepted at the most number of institutions. Xavier Walton, thank you so much. We have less than 6 months before the first primary and caucus are held, but candidates are burning through a whole lot of cash. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott has the highest burn rate and is spending money faster than he's raising it. But he does have a lot of cash on hand, more than $20 million at the end of June, thanks to money from his Senate campaign. Now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' super PAC, Never Back Down, has spent $34 million in recent months, but still has $97 million in the bank thanks to transfers from past elections. And at the end of June, DeSantis' campaign had spent about 40% of the more than $20 million it had taken in since he launched his campaign in May. Now, tonight, 2024 presidential candidate North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum joins Leland Vittert live during On Balance. Tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on NewsNation. And former Vice President Mike Pence says he has no intention of testifying in the Justice Department's 2020 election trial against his former boss. Mr. Pence said he will comply with the law if he is asked to testify in the case. Now, back in April, the former vice president appeared before a grand jury after attempting to challenge a subpoena from special counsel Jack Smith. The federal judge currently presiding over the case intends to set a trial date later this month. And border officials in Arizona are reporting an uptick in migrant crossing as Texas keeps the pressure up at the border with patrols and enforcement. All this as cartels are shifting tactics, creating a dangerous humanitarian situation in the brutal Arizona desert heat. Our Jorge Ventura joins us live now and has more on the conditions these migrants are facing in Arizona, that record heat making that trip even more dangerous, Jorge.
Yeah, that's right, Nick. And sources are now telling NewsNation that human smuggling organizations are shifting their focus and their strategy on moving migrants to Arizona to cross illegally into the U.S., causing a huge concern for officials who say they are worried about the dangerous terrain and the scorching heat that migrants will endure in the deserts on their way to the U.S. border. Now, illegal crossings have spiked across the southern border, but the Tucson sector has seen a nearly 40,000 migrant encounters in the month of July. It's the highest total encounters in a single month for the Tucson sector in over a decade. Officials say that the Tucson sector is considered the most dangerous areas to cross into the U.S. Every day, agents rescue migrants from dying in the deserts. Migrants are often left by smugglers to walk miles in the heat without any water. Officials tell NewsNation they don't have the infrastructure to handle the recent surge in illegal crossings in that area, which is more known for people trying to evade Border Patrol agents rather than turning themselves in. During the hotter months in the summer, officials usually see a dip in illegal crossings, but the opposite is happening in Arizona. The Tucson sector is seeing over 1,300 daily crossings in July. In Ajo, Arizona, migrants were forced to stay outdoors in fenced-off areas in over 100-degree weather after turning themselves in to Border Patrol agents. In that area, area, agents have already reduced the time migrants are in custody to just 15 hours before they are transported to other areas with better facilities to handle the migrant surge. Officials are calling for additional resources for personnel and transportation to assist agents on the ground in the remote areas of Arizona's crossing points. Source telling NewsNation it is believed that the new shift in strategy is due to the tough approach that Texas Governor Greg Abbott is taking with Operation Lone Star by placing Texas Department of Public Safety troopers on the border to deter and block migrants from entering Texas. Texas has also placed a large floating barrier in Eagle Pass to block migrants from swimming across the Rio Grande and reaching American soil. Texas DPS has blocked areas along the border with razor wire and large containers and is arresting and charging migrants with criminal trespass if they enter illegally. Federal officials in Arizona, already overwhelmed with that migrant surge, are also dealing with the large amount of fentanyl being smuggled into the U.S. Officials say that the majority of fentanyl coming into the United States is entering through Arizona. Nick?
Arizona, Texas, they're just, it's so porous, and so much more needs to be done. Jorge, thank you so much. Texas Congressman Chip Roy is threatening to defund the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security unless they agree to his demands. Congressman Roy told Fox News over the weekend that Congress should withhold funding from the two agencies for what he calls, quote, weaponization by the DOJ and DHS for leaving that border exposed. When asked to expand on his idea, Roy said it wasn't about taking money away, but making sure it's not a blank check, something many Republicans have said in the past. A cyber attack is disrupting hospital computer systems in multiple states across the country, and that's causing emergency rooms to close and ambulances to be diverted. It started Thursday at facilities owned by Prospect Medical Holdings. That company said they took their systems offline and launched an investigation with an outside cybersecurity company. Now, some hospitals have been affected, are keeping records on paper as a substitute, and the time being they're using employees to oversee certain services that are usually monitored by computers. The American Hospital Association said that the facilities that were affected are getting back to normal, but it could take weeks to fully recover. A new report by Virginia-based Parents Defending Education reveals China is now funding multiple schools here in the U.S., reportedly through culture and language programs. However, Parents Defending Education says the real goal is to further the Communist Party's global influence. And as our Emily Finn reports, some lawmakers on Capitol Hill say they're urging the Department of Justice to take a closer look.
Xi Jinping believes that China will not be stopped from imposing its will and ideology onto American citizens.
According to the Parents Defending Education's newly released Little Red Classrooms report, the Chinese Communist Party has invested $17 million into K-12 schools across the U.S. It's been happening over the past 14 years through so-called Confucius Institutes. While these Confucius Institutes say their goal is to, quote, teach Chinese language and culture, Parents Defending Education claims the purpose is really to further the Chinese Communist Party's global influence.
It provides an opportunity for the teachers or those who work with them to spot who might be a good candidate down the road or who might be sympathetic to their cause and try and shape the next generation that way.
Confucius Institute programs have been traced to 143 school districts in 34 states. They have been a concern for our nation's lawmakers for years. Under former President Trump's administration, the State Department designated Confucius Institutes as a foreign mission. Former intelligence officer Matt Shoemaker says while many of these programs have shut down in recent years, infiltrating K-12 schools appears to be a new tactic from the CCP.
The Chinese seem to have then changed the parameters of the debate and moved on towards grade schools in particular. So it tells me that the Chinese are incredibly resourceful in what they're doing, and they seem to have a real keen interest in going after schools.
But perhaps most concerning to Shoemaker is the threat to our national security, with 20 of the school districts near U.S. military bases. Republican Congressman Jim Banks is now urging the Education Department to take action, sending a letter to Secretary Miguel Cardona saying these programs have no place in our country, let alone our classrooms, and demanding a full audit of all K-12 funding across the country. Shoemaker tells NewsNation it's time for parents and school officials to get involved as the federal government investigates these concerning programs.
I would absolutely love to see parents getting more involved and demanding answers for who was the one that determined, who in the school board thought that this was a good idea and allowed this to happen. The second thing is, though, from a larger perspective, is that this is a campaign for information, and it's going to come from Washington, from the high-level officials to publicly push back, because without the public pushback, the Chinese are just going to keep pushing forward, all speed ahead.
That was NewsNation correspondent Emily Finn reporting. That, of course, was the unmistakable voice of Freddie Mercury, and the legendary singer had many unforgettable outfits to match his vocal talents. Next, how you can see them on display in person. And as we head to break, be sure to scan the QR code right there at the bottom of your screen. Download our NewsNation app, and that way you can follow us wherever you go. We're always on. We'll be right back after the break.
North Dakota Governor and GOP presidential candidate Doug Burgum on Balance tonight.
My most important kitchen tool? My brain. So I choose Neriva Plus. Unlike some others, Neriva Plus is a multitasker supporting 6 key indicators of brain health to help keep me sharp. Neriva, think bigger.
There are more ways than ever for identity thieves to steal your information. LifeLock alerts you and works to fix problems with a dedicated restoration specialist. Go to lifelock.com.
Sometimes the lows of bipolar depression feel darkest before dawn. With Caplyta, there's a chance to let in the light. Caplyta is proven to deliver significant relief across bipolar depression. Unlike some medicines that only treat bipolar 1, Caplyta treats both bipolar 1 and 2 depression. And in clinical trials, movement disorders and weight gain were not common.
Call your doctor about sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants may increase these risks in young adults. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Report fever, confusion, stiff, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be life-threatening or permanent. These aren't all the serious side effects.
Caplyta can help you let in the light. Ask your doctor about Caplyta. Find savings and support at caplyta.com.
Want a smarter way to mop? Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, an all-in-one cleaning tool with a 360-degree swivel head that goes places a regular mop just can't. Mop smarter with the new Swiffer Power Mop.
When moderate to severe ulcerative colitis takes you off course, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
When I wanted to see results fast, Rinvoq delivered rapid symptom relief and helped leave bathroom urgency behind. Check.
When UC tried to slow me down, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when UC caused damage, Rinvoq came through by visibly repairing my colon lining. Check. Rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission.
And a chance to visibly repair the colon lining. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin cancer. Death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC in check and keep it there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Guys, got hair loss? I know what you're thinking. Should I shave my head? Comb it over? Wear a hat? Just stop. This isn't 1970. Keep your hair and your confidence, because Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration experts, can give you your real hair back permanently. Check them out, because they're giving away an absolutely free information kit and a free gift card to everyone who scans this QR code. Dude, you don't have to look like your dad, because this isn't your dad's hair loss treatment. People all over the country trust Bosley because they're ahead of the curve. They use the latest technology to give you your real hair back. And the best part, Bosley's permanent solution is protected by the Bosley Guarantee. Let them show you for free how awesome your hair could look with an absolutely free information kit and a gift card for $250 off. Scan the QR code. Don't wait. Scan the code now and ask about the Bosley Guarantee.
Welcome back. Happening today, rapper Tory Lanez is set to be sentenced 3 years after shooting hip-hop star Megan Thee Stallion in the feet at a pool party in Los Angeles. The jury convicted him back in December on 3 felony charges. Now, prosecutors are seeking a 13-year prison sentence. Lanez faces deportation to his native country of Canada if he is indeed convicted. Singer Lizzo has lost nearly 220,000 followers since 3 of her former backup dancers sued her for sexual harassment and hostile work environment allegations. Ariana Davis, Crystal Williams, and Noel Rodriguez allege they were weight-shamed and even physically threatened by Lizzo while on tour. The singer has denied those allegations, but according to the statistics site Social Blade, many fans pressed the unfollow blue button since August 1st when the suit was filed. A very sweet moment during the Los Angeles stop of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour over the weekend. While performing her song 22, Swift usually gives her signature hat to one lucky little fan in the audience. And that lucky fan this time happened to be 6-year-old Bianca Bryant, the daughter of late Lakers star Kobe Bryant. Now, Swift hugged Bianca. Her mother, Vanessa, was standing right by her side in the crowd and blew a kiss to Taylor after the interaction. This was a full circle moment because in 2015, Kobe presented Swift with a championship banner for most sold out shows at the Staples Center that year. And the video montages fans created from that moment, plus this new one, are buzzing online. And the Queen of Pop, Madonna, is giving her fans another update on her postponed tour dates since she was hospitalized in June for a serious bacterial infection. Madge posted this message to her story over the weekend saying she's happy to report the rerouted tour schedule will be coming in the next few days. The tour will be celebrating the 40th anniversary of her debut album. And if you're a fan of Freddie Mercury and headed to London anytime soon, you'll want to listen now. Sotheby's in London is currently presenting an exhibition and auction of the rock star's personal collection. This will happen through September 5th. Now, the auction is allowing visitors to explore the items in person ahead of the bidding while listening to music and having champagne. Pieces from Mercury's home and closet, as well as art, handwritten song lyrics, and fashion and jewelry gathered throughout his decades will be on display. Now, for more information or to take part in bidding, head to Sotheby's website. And you're looking live at Sturgis, South Dakota, where the 83rd Sturgis Motorcycle Rally is underway this week. The mayor joins me live in a few minutes to talk about how this 10-day event is a big deal nationwide.
My most important kitchen tool? My brain. So I choose Nariva Plus. Unlike some others, Nariva Plus is a multitasker supporting 6 key indicators of brain health to help keep me sharp. Nariva, think bigger.
For your weekend, but continued rain all day.
You can't count on the weather, but you can count on Dish and our reliability guarantee. Should you ever lose signal, contact us and we'll credit back your account.
Back to you, Rob.
Hey, Dylan, I want your dad to go out and help you practice your sliding.
Yeah. I'll be outside.
You're a good dad.
The reliability guarantee, only from Dish. Tuned into you.
My mental health was much better, but I struggled with uncontrollable movements called TD, tardive dyskinesia. TD can be caused by some mental health meds.
And it's unlikely to improve without treatment. I felt like my movements were in the spotlight.
Ingrezza is a prescription medicine to treat adults with TD movements. Ingrezza is different. It's the simple, once-daily treatment proven to reduce TD that's #1 prescribed. People taking Ingrezza can stay on their current dose of most mental health meds. Ingrezza 80 milligram is proven to reduce TD movements in 7 out of 10 people. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to any of its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects, including sleepiness. Don't drive, operate heavy machinery, or do other dangerous activities until you know how Ingrezza affects you. Other serious side effects include potential heart rhythm problems and abnormal movements.
It's nice. People focus more on me.
Ask your doctor about #1 prescribed once daily Ingrezza. Learn how you can pay as little as $0 at Ingrezza.com.
New only from SimpliSafe, 24/7 lifeguard protection. This exclusive technology allows SimpliSafe agents to help stop crime in real time.
Stop. Police are on their way.
For instant intruder deterrence and faster police response, there's no safe like SimpliSafe.
I have type 2 diabetes, but I manage it well. It's a little pill with a big story to tell. I take once daily Jardiance at each day start. As time went on, it was easy to see I'm lowering my A1C.
Jardiance works 24/7 in your body to flush out some sugar. And for adults with type 2 diabetes and known heart disease, Jardiance can lower the risk of cardiovascular death too. Jardiance may cause serious side effects, including ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration that can lead to sudden worsening of kidney function, and genital yeast or urinary tract infections. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction. And don't take it if you're on dialysis. Taking Jardiance with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
Jardiance is really swell, the little pill with the big story to tell.
Tonight, cartels trafficking humans into America, one by one. Ali Bradley has the exclusive border video of the smuggling operations and why Border Patrol can't stop them. Cartels in America, tonight on Elizabeth Vargas Reports.
Take a look at that. That's a live look at Sturgis, South Dakota for their 83rd annual motorcycle rally. That 10-day event brings motorcycle lovers from all across the globe. Listen to that sound. Yeah, beginning in the late 30s with less than 10 participants, this massive gathering now draws in tens of thousands of people, becoming one of the most popular motorcycle events in the country. To biker enthusiasts, it's known as the granddaddy of them all. In 2015, it's estimated the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally broke an attendance record with 739,000 participants from all 50 states, plus international communities. Joining us now live to talk more about it is the mayor, Mark Carstensen. And Mayor Carstensen, first thing I got to ask you is, what kind of hog are you driving and riding on, and what year is it?
It's a 2023 Harley Road Glide, so it's awesome.
I knew it. See, I said, I don't even have to script that question. I know this man is riding one. Talk about the history of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally and why it's so unique and important to the community.
You bet. Well, it's unique because just the Black Hills and the rides that we have, the feeling of family and friendship that people come back annually to do and to enjoy each other's company. What it returns to the community is revenue, and our 7,000 person town turns into a very large city for a little bit. So we put up with a lot as a small town, but the returns are worth it, and just the family environment and the rally's history and legacy is just great to be a part of.
You mentioned family, and the reason I want to go back to that is because I have interviewed so many people who attend this year after year, and what they say is that they meet people, the guys I met 6 years ago, and each year I'm going to see them there again. That's what you mean by family, right?
100%. They come here, they make friends and memories, and they look forward to returning to the next year to do the same thing. And it becomes strong bonds and relationships for the rest of their lives.
Okay, so why here? Why this part of the country? Why does this event draw such large crowds every single year?
Well, the city of Sturgis works very hard to open our arms and create a safe, welcoming environment for people to enjoy what we have here. And the key to it all, to answer your question, is the fact that the Black Hills are all the way around us, and the rides are world class, and it's just so enjoyable and such a beautiful place that people just love to return.
And people get to flex with their bikes as well. Now, one last question I have to ask you before I let you go. How many participants are you expecting this year? I know there was a dip during the pandemic. Then we saw a growth again. And it seems like the numbers keep climbing. What are you looking for this year? What will success mean for you?
Success is people having a good time and coming back. As far as the numbers, they fluctuate quite a bit depending on the year and the economy and everything that's going on there. But even on a slow rally, as we call it, when there's not as many people as there are other rallies, we're still at 450,000 people. I haven't seen the numbers to this point that give us any kind of indication. It is scientific, but it is somewhat of a guess. It uses tons of garbage haul, traffic counts, sales tax receipts, things like that to come up with how many people attended the year. We compile that after the rally, but My opinion is there's a lot of people here this year, and our summer's been busy leading up to this. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful tourism season for the city of Sturgis.
And it helps your community that honestly got hit hard during the pandemic as well.
Without a doubt. I mean, we had the rally, we had the businesses that wanted to be open, but just like everything, we're dealing with, what happened over the last 3 years and just trying to move forward. And when there's a lot of people and a lot of money changing hands, it certainly helps that situation.
Mayor Carstensen, thank you so much, sir. Ride safe, have a good time, and you know what? Look for me in 2024.
Beautiful. Come join us.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one, brother. A programming note, this Friday, NewsNation is live at the Iowa State Fair with special editions of Morning in America and On Balance with Leland Vittert. Now, coming up, our NewsNation 90 to catch you up on everything you missed after the break.
My name is Helen, and I was an EMT for 20 years in New York City. The job was very tough. We never knew what call we were going to get, but I was one of the first responders for the plane on the Hudson. After years of working EMT, my body took a toll, and I had pain in every joint of my body, my back, my knees, my neck. I could not walk half a block. I had to lay in bed all the time. I was very depressed. The pain became so bad. I'm used to walking a lot, and I couldn't even do that. My sister finally told me, try Omega XL, because she was finding relief from pain in her knees. I ordered it, and now I have more energy than I ever had. Last week, I walked 6 blocks. I was so proud of myself.
Find relief with Omega XL. Omega XL is a powerful, one-of-a-kind oil extract that comes from the green-lipped mussels sourced from the pristine waters of New Zealand. Omega XL contains more than 30 free fatty acids that help relieve pain due to inflammation, and its effectiveness has been proven through more than 35 years of clinical research.
This product is the best thing. These tiny pills that you take will be a miracle for your body. You will remember what did it to you, and it was Omega XL.
Call now or visit omegaxl.com/try and receive this special offer. When you buy 1 bottle of Omega XL, receive an additional bottle absolutely free. That's 2 bottles of Omega XL for only $39.95. Order now, and we'll also include a free bottle of Vitamin XL D3 with your first order.
Get Omega XL. It's the best thing for you.
Call now and receive this special offer. 2 bottles of Omega XL plus Vitamin XL D3 for only $39.95.
Order it. It's good for you.
Before planning the wedding, your bad hip was really acting up. Then, you heard about Mako robotic-assisted hip replacement. It starts with a CT scan to pinpoint the problem that becomes a personalized 3D plan to guide your doctor during surgery. Mako can help lead to better outcomes, like less pain and shorter recovery times. The lifetime of a hip implant is limited, and revision surgery may be required. Individual results and recovery times vary. Risks of surgery include pain, infection, heart attack, stroke, death, and other serious risks. Ask your doctor for important safety information. To find a doctor who uses Mako, visit MakoCan.com.
I had 8 UTIs in 1 year. This inspired me and my partner Spencer to launch Eucora. Eucora makes effective urinary tract health products.
It truly works miracles. The peace of mind I've been looking for.
Go to eucora.com to learn more.
I'm gonna sell my life insurance cause I don't need it anymore.
My kids are grown, my wife is great, let's settle up the score.
It's time to travel to Paris. Spend retirement happy. Call 877-SELL-EASY. 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 And sell your policy. You can sell all or part. Live your life, play it smart. 877-SELL-EASY. And sell your policy.
If you've had a change in health, or you're over 65, and paying for $100,000 or more in a life insurance policy you don't need, get paid for it instead.
Take the money that you get, gonna live it up, you bet. Call 877-SELL-EASY. 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 And sell your policy.
Former President Donald Trump's legal team faces a deadline in the 2020 election interference case.
Just hours from now, the Trump legal team needs to respond to this request from the Department of Justice, calling to limit evidence from being shared publicly. Some of the attorneys coming out and saying that they may call for the case to be dismissed entirely or to be moved out of here in Washington, D.C.
Tensions are flying high in the air. As of July, there's been more than 1,000 cases of unruly passengers on U.S. flights in 2023.
That mother back there is not real. I will kill every man on this plane. Oh my God.
There have been more than 1,100 reports of unruly passengers on U.S. flights.
So the agency implemented a zero-tolerance policy in dealing with passengers behaving badly on airplanes, but still some passengers can't seem to control their rage.
A giveaway turned riot led to the arrest of the mega popular Twitch streamer Ka Signat.
Our officers were attacked.
This anarchy in the street is completely unacceptable.
My God, what type of world are we living in?
Barbie just joined the $1 billion club. Barbie is now the biggest to be directed by a woman, period.
People have strong feelings about Barbie, whether it's nostalgic attachment, whether it's hatred or feelings of criticism.
A whole lot of my friends went to go see that movie. I'm like, dude, are you serious? And they're like, dude, it was really good. Well, that does it for me. I'm Nick Smith in for Marni Hughes. She'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Thanks so much for joining us. Keep it right here, though. NewsNation Now is up next with my friend, Kelly Beeson. Thanks so much.